Oconee County Planning Commission on Thursday, January 23rd, 2020. Ms. Lyles, if you would lead us in our invocation.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today just thanking you for this day, Lord. We thank you for all the rain that you've given us, Lord, to replenish our lakes. We just ask that you be with us through this meeting. Let each one of us conduct business in a way that would be pleasing to you and pleasing to the citizens of this county, Lord. We just ask that you watch over each of us as we go home, keep us all safe, and just be with our government at this trying time, Lord, and just help us all to come together as a nation, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Mr. Pearson, would you lead us in the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there comments for the evening?
I definitely got that before we started the meeting. No, we do not have that.
We're off our regular time, so
Because it's 5 o'clock.
it's 5 o'clock, right, so. All right, is there anyone on the commission who would like to make public comment regarding anything that we have going on? All right, Miss Annie, I'm not even gonna try that one if you don't mind.
You can call me AC.
AC, okay?
The real AC.
The real AC, okay.
Trouble.
Well, I appreciate the invitation to come speak today. Adam asked me to come here to address the commission, and first I want to certainly thank y'all for all your hard work on the comprehensive plan. I know it's a thankless job, but it's very important to the county and to the state and to what we do in economic development so that people know that we're ahead of the game. Even though it's required by the state, which a lot of people don't know that, it is important to the work that we do. So I wanted to introduce staff real quick. I have Morgan Holcomb here with me, and then Emily Hodge. They have carried the torch for some time. You know, we've been in transition for about 1.5 years, so we're certainly thankful for their work in the office. But just here to give a general update about what's going on. Little background on me: from Columbia, South Carolina. Been working in economic development for the past 16 years, and previously was with the State Department of Commerce. So the economy is strong, lots of activity, and I think it's going to continue to be strong this year, especially here in Oconee. Is there a clicker?
Point at me.
Oh, okay, sorry. So who the OEA is: we are a public nonprofit organization that was set up by the county about 7 years ago, and we're charged with economic development, which encompasses a lot of things: workforce development, product development, and then attraction and retention of industrial clients here in Oconee County. So what we do, and sorry, this is my first presentation going through this one today. It's been a busy week. Actually just closed on a house right before I got here, so I'm now officially an Oconee County resident. So what we do is just what I mentioned. We work with the State Department of Commerce and other consultants out in the U.S. looking to attract new talent and new companies to move to the area, but also working on the other side to make sure that we're prepared in product development, which I'll talk a little bit more about. So our impact, again, we were created in 2012, so that's kind of the timeline that we look at. Certainly things happened before that time, but under the OEA, job creation has been just over 1,700, and our taxable capital investment is well over $500 million, which is a big deal and brings a lot of money to the county. And then our wins, we have worked with several different projects resulting in 41 different wins over the last couple of years. So 2019 was a great year because it was an uncertain year in the economy, just because everything going on with the different tariffs, both with the new NAFTA, but also with China, which is drives a lot of activity in South Carolina. But we had just over $37 million in new investment, and then also 147 jobs. So those three announcements. First, the biggest new announcement in the county was Horton Industries, and they are in the OITP Industrial Park up on Highway 11. If you've driven by, you've probably seen a lot of construction in there. This was a huge win for the county. It's not very often that counties get new clients. You always see a lot of activity, but it's usually from expansions. So it's very exciting to get a new client. They make industrial cooling fans. So for Cats, John Deere, Mack trucks on the highway, they'll be making those here in Oconee County and distributing them out. So it's 125 new high-paying jobs, average wage around $16, and then a brand new building, 105,000 square feet. Baxter Industries has been in the county for a couple of years, but they just had a recent expansion. They are our first and only BMW supplier, so it's a tier 1 that goes directly to BMW, which is a huge deal for us. And then ACI Plastics expanded their facility, but just in equipment, just over $10 million. So talking about product development, the Oconee, the OITP as we call it, you can see here where Horton located just across from Baxter Industries. If you've driven by, you've seen the Technical College campus. This year, the Hamilton Career Center will be opening to students in August, so we're very excited about that. This is a huge attraction and selling point for us that we can talk to companies about when they say, where are people coming from or where will they be trained? We can say literally across the street, and that's a big selling point. You can see that we've got a couple of sites left, probably a balance of about 90 acres. Which sounds like a lot, but it's not. I mean, we've shown a couple of different layouts here, but this could really be taken down by 2 clients, and it could be taken down this year. So we're certainly looking at that for product development in 2020. Here is progress. This is probably about a year old, do you think?
This was at the beginning, this was probably in the summer.
So this was the Career Center. If you drive by, you can see it's there. So the construction happened pretty quickly, and they'll be opening here in August. And then the site behind it is just grass right now, but in the next picture, you'll see Horton Industries. Oh wait, well that's a rendering of the, we didn't have a picture from a current construction photo from the Career Center. So if you go one more, here we are. So Horton, we've even gone beyond this just in the last couple weeks. It has rained a good bit, which has delayed construction. It's rained, and I'm sure y'all have watched the news too, consecutively for 7 weekends. So that's a little bit difficult on our construction friends. But the roof is done now, and they are moving gangbusters. So they hope to be open by the end of March. Another thing that we've been working on with the county directly is this new road, Road A. This is a DOT road coming off of Highway 11. We have the main entrance road by Baxter, but obviously with students coming into Hamilton Career Center and eventually more students at the Technical College, there's going to be a lot of traffic coming in and out. So this is a good way to separate passenger traffic from the truck traffic going in the other entrance. So one of the other product development initiatives that we have is the Seneca Rail Park. This is something that both the city and the county have been working on for some time. In this picture, you can see a new road that we've designed in. You know, over the past couple of years, the feedback from clients when they visit this park was, you know, they can't envision the access, they can't envision what the park would look like. So last year, with some grant dollars from the SE Power team, the county worked with them to clear the land so you could kind of get a vision of how development would work. And then now this is a grant as well to help us build an entrance road so that people can get in and see the lay of the land when they get into the park. So this was a huge win for us. And then we also have water and sewer going into the park as well. And there's a layout, if you can see, we can fit 2 large users in this park and maybe some other small users. But this is a great marketing tool for us because when you think about rail-served property, rail-served industrial property, it's a hot commodity. There's just not that much of it anymore. So it's great for us to have that in our toolbox and something that we can sell to new companies coming to the area. So looking forward for 2020, I know I just talked a lot about product development, but we are looking at product development again because, you know, Seneca Rail, we could take 2 large users, OITP, we could take 2 users, and that, again, could go pretty quickly. So we want to make sure we're prepared for the next couple of years for what's coming next. But part of that as well is spec building development. We do have a C&T Cooper loan that we have in the bank right now, so we're examining where exactly the building will be constructed this year and hope to get that kicked off by the 3rd quarter. Another big thing that you'll hear not only here in Oconee County, but also throughout the state is talent development and talent attraction. So we're at an unemployment rate usually hovering around 1.5%, which is typically the unemployable. So we have to figure out how to make people or bring people in. So when we talk about talent development, we're going to look at our youth. This Hamilton Career Center and being in the industrial park and being connected to the tech college is a huge selling point for us. So we're going to make sure that students understand the opportunity the industrial employers in the area provide to them. So we're going to build that pipeline ourselves. In attraction, we're also going to work a little bit with some of our existing industries to make sure that if it's a position that they've had some difficulty filling, that we do everything we can to help them attract new talent to the area and really sell why Oconee is a great place to work and live. And then lastly, we really want to focus on our existing industry. We have some great big industrial employers here in Oconee County, and we want to make sure that they feel the love just as much as the new clients are that we bring into Oconee County. So we're really going to focus on them and make sure that they know all the resources that both the state and the county have available to them, specifically when it comes to workforce training. There's a lot of different things out there, and so we want to make sure that we're sitting down with them so they understand how they utilize these resources. So those are 3 big focus areas for 2020. And I think that's it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Anybody have any questions? I think that's great. Thank you very much. All right, I believe next is comprehensive plan update from staff.
Yes, ma'am. So last, actually, it's a Tuesday night, sorry, I'm a little thrown off here, I'm used to this being Monday night. Tuesday night, the first reading of the comprehensive plan went before council. It passed with a 3-2 vote. Mr. Pearson, Mr. Smith, and Mrs. McPhail all got up and spoke for it. It does have 2 more readings to go through. So that's kind of where we are with the plan. If anybody wants to go and speak on behalf of the plan at the next 1 or 2 council meetings, that's completely up to y'all.
No one volunteer?
How do y'all feel it went? I mean, do you feel like that the point was made? Is there anything else that needs to be said?
I was really surprised that it was not a unanimous vote, I'll be honest. I got the feelings in the room that it was very positive. And then, actually, I had to scoot home, so I didn't stay long enough for the vote. And I was just surprised that it wasn't unanimous myself. But you, Mr. Smith, I know you presented the executive summary, and
I know there was some talk on the executive summary about the healthcare and about the recycling thing. That obviously there was a little
non-reading issue. It's the end of the comp plan. We have it in there. Those 2 items are in there. But evidently, the ones that were complaining about it did not read the comp plan and see them in there.
I think their complaint was that it was not more prominent, that it was not given a more,
Well, I think what started
given more
it,
attention.
What started it, or the whole thing was, Mike read the top 10, and those 2 items wasn't in the top 10, but we didn't choose the top 10. That's just how it happened. And I think that was one of the complaints. It wasn't in those top 10 top priority items. And there's not a whole lot we could have done about that, because that was decided on how many people spoke about that one item. So, but the items that they were complaining about were in the comp plan. They just didn't see them. I don't think they actually read that part. And it's a big plan. I mean, they could have missed it.
Unless there's some big objection from county council, I don't know that we need to continue to.
Well, the thing Mr. McCall was concerned about the recycling is our landfills are filling up. We're shipping our stuff to Georgia. Their landfills are filling up. it's not gonna be long before we've got garbage and no place to go with it. What options can we take? We need to be planning for the future in that regard, and he was disappointed that we didn't address that in the comprehensive plan. Whether it goes into comprehensive plan or not, we need to do some planning in that direction.
And I think we suffered a little bit probably from the fact that anytime you have any group of people that picks, and when I say pick, indicates what was the most necessary projects to move forward with right now, the top priorities. There's going to be another group that just has other feelings. That's always going to be the case. And so I think we have a document, a living document right now in front of us that I hope that we'll continue to work on and progress. And maybe very shortly we'll be able to check off a couple and slide recycling on up there.
And the nice thing is we do have a document that's, for the most part, was developed by the community at large. And ultimately, yes, county council has to make the tough decisions as to where money goes and what takes focus. But at least they have a document now that can also say, these are some of the priorities of the county.
Right.
Well, the point is, this is citizen-driven. And when you went to all these meetings and you read what came in from the newspaper and whatever, what was mentioned was not a high priority to them. There's no doubt that recycling is going to be a problem. But the people don't identify that right now. Wayne's looking ahead, and he's absolutely right. We're going to be in a problem area there soon. When it is, we don't know, but we need to plan ahead, and it's in the comprehensive plan. But the citizens just didn't identify it as a problem that they were concerned about right now.
Well, it's good that he, as a councilman, is staying on top of it.
Sure.
But as far as answering the original question, I don't know that there's any, at least from my perspective, any need for us to go and state anything more.
Right. Okay. I'll be glad to go if at any time staff feels like it needs support, but.
I would think just through the next two readings, honestly, because we came out for the first one, and in case there's questions, I mean, I'll be there, but I just assume
Sort of keep
y'all answer it, not me.
Sort of keep it on their mind, yeah, just sort of refresh them. It wouldn't
Okay.
hurt just to say a few words, so.
Or just be available in case there is you not necessarily have to talk about it, but if y'all are there and they're like, hey, where'd these come from again? Or maybe some members of the audience bring up some points, and you all are there to speak for it, it could be helpful. You don't have to.
That's the third? What date is that?
Mr. Pearson has graciously offered that he will be at each of the meetings, so he will be available. I'll try to be there when I can.
I think Mike will be there
Mike will
too.
be
Same
Okay.
Tuesdays that we have
Right.
planning commission meetings.
You can be at Mike's at both of them.
There you go. I think we've got it covered. Good. And I just now noticed, do we need to do an approval of the minutes from the last meeting?
Oh, thank you for
Since it
that.
is on the agenda.
I'm gonna blame that on
You can-
someone else other than myself.
I was gonna say, you can blame it on me, because I approved the agenda, so.
That's right.
Well, I did, yeah. I don't mind taking the blame.
No, that was good. Yeah,
I'll make a
so
motion.
the minutes from the last meeting Judy approved, I forgot to put it as a item on there, but I don't mind us voting.
We can do it now.
All right, we have a motion that the minutes be approved. Do I have a
So
second?
moved.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the minutes stand approved as submitted. All right, Mr., I believe is it time for public comment at this point on the commission submitted priorities? And nobody signed up, so we can move forward. All right, you all will see on the back page here, there was a list of priorities suggested by planning commission members at the request of staff. There were 12 that came up as very important. Affordable, attainable housing, aging in place, skills that local employers need to be taught in our school system, keeping up with the roads, informing citizens about what the county accomplishes, access to local healthy food, an RV park ordinance, a multifamily housing ordinance, or some way to move forward with multifamily housing, community group development standards, perhaps a junkyard ordinance, riparian protections, and sidewalks in the public right-of-way. So I open it now for discussion or comments.
On the sidewalks, I understand we've got a county prohibition against sidewalks in the county roads.
In the public right of way, private roads can have them, but in public right of way, sidewalks are currently not permissible.
And can we know why we have that prohibition, and should we change it or not?
So as far as changing that, that lies in chapter 26, which doesn't necessarily 100% fall within our purview, but although we can certainly speak for it, make recommendations, and apply that, towards, the Roads and Bridges Department and things of that nature and administration. We can certainly do it. The reason why, from what I've been told, is that we don't necessarily want to have to maintain it, the liability, a tree branch falls on a sidewalk, and all of a sudden we have to send a crew out to go pick up that tree branch kind of thing. I think that's been in place since the ordinance was originally written in what, 02 or 09, something like that. So perhaps it's time to look at changing that, and if that's something you all like to do, I can bring you the ordinance and you can give us some kind of information, and then we can vote to send that as a recommendation over to probably transportation.
And I think it was more emphatically encouraged to remain in place when the economy kind of slipped there at a point, because there were some subdivisions that sort of stagnated, and then folks wanted the county to take over that duty. And I don't think the county was financially prepared or willing to do that on a regular basis, so.
I was one that suggested this, and I wanted the option available, not to say that it's required. But let's say a person comes in and puts in a pretty good sized development, I don't know, 50, 75 houses or whatever. They should have the option of doing that, and of course they bond the sidewalks for a certain period of time and whatever, and they have certain standards they have to meet. I guess the issue is, what was explained to me is the liability issue of somebody stumbling over a curb or, as they say, a branch that fell down or whatever. But other counties and other municipalities get around this, but I was just thinking of having the option of it, because it is a safety issue too. Walking in the roads and, it's just not safe. Like riding bicycles on the roads, it's not safe. But I was just thinking of having the option of it. If a developer came in and said, hey, this will help me sell my lots, my houses, et cetera.
Inside subdivisions, though, they can do that, correct?
So we have two different kinds of roads in the county, well, three if you count state, but for our conversation, we have county roads, we have private roads. If you're a developer, you want private roads in your development, that means you're gonna own them, or your HOA is gonna own them, you're gonna build them, we have a set of specifications you have to build them to, but they're gonna be yours. You can put up a gate in front of it, but they still have to meet standards. You can also build the road to county standards, which means you get with Roads and Bridges, and you build the road to the county standard for a length of time. I wanna say it's 3 years. We're holding a maintenance bond of a percentage of the value. And if the road needs maintenance during that time frame, we will maintain it using that bond. At the end of that time frame, which I think is 3 years, but give or take 3 years, it can then go to council, transportation committee, to elect to accept it into the road system. So it was built by a private company, and then the council has to vote to accept it into our road system. So those are the two kinds of roads. So even inside of subdivisions, there are county roads.
Now, I take it that we wouldn't accept it if it had sidewalks, because it wouldn't be the county specification?
I believe that is true. I would double check it with Kyle Reed, our Roads and Bridges Director, but I believe that is the case.
I'm hearing some comments around me that indicate perhaps it needs to be changed, so would you mind doing that? The work investigating it and bringing it back to us with some updates. Do you need a motion on that, or can we just simply ask that you do that?
Let's go ahead and motion it. That way I'm not Go ahead and make a motion to.
I'll make that motion.
Instruct
Yeah,
staff.
we have a motion that staff investigate this and bring it back to us so that we can update that. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Any opposed? No? Okay.
Can I add to this list, this priorities list?
No. I was just joking.
That was your homework assignment. If you didn't submit it, you're too late. Just kidding.
I just want to, since we have concern, at least we do, at this present time, and council has a concern, let's add a recycling program to that list, and that's something we can try to help Wayne and the rest of the council with, and maybe help come up with some ideas on that.
Do you need a motion on that as well, or?
Oh, let's flesh that out for a minute. What is, as far as looking at what we can do as planning commission for increasing, like, fixing, help me out here.
Public,
I'll share just a little bit. I did do a little bit of research on this, because I'm kind of like Mr. McCall. For me, you should recycle. The earth is limited, and so recycling is key to the survival and the future. But from what I understand, the real block to recycling is not, in fact, getting people to recycle, although that's difficult in areas where you have the convenience centers that we have, where we're not accustomed to being sort of forced to recycle like some cities are. But the probably largest barrier to recycling is, in fact, that there's simply not a market for recycled items.
That's right.
And so if you don't have a market for what you're recycling,
Where's it going?
what are you gonna do with it? It ends up, you've handled it 2 or 3 times extra, and you're still putting it in a landfill at the end because it's not marketable, it's not cost effectively marketable. That said, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be done, but I do know that just based on people that I've spoken with, about the only way to get recycling increased is to get to the point that you're almost forcing it, so that you can't dispose of your trash unless it's sorted, which is what I understand cities do. Perhaps we could ask staff, is there a place where recycling is successful?
I've worked in plastic recycling for the last 20-some odd years. And one place I did some work at was a community near Ocean City, New Jersey. Their landfill was full and closed for probably 30 years. They had a private contractor come in. They basically pulled the tops off of the closed landfill, let it rain in there and rot everything that was organic, which y'all might not know. A modern landfill, you can read a 50-year-old newspaper that's been in a modern landfill. But if you take the top off and let it rain in it for a year and then cover it back up for a couple of years, everything in it rots. All organic stuff. Then they go back in, take the top back off, and basically mine the landfill. They get everything out, run it through a big grinder, and separate out the metals, separate out the glass and the plastics, and basically they wind up with tons of mulch that up there they give it away by the truckload. If you want a load of mulch, you better be there, because they're gonna put dump truckloads in as fast as they can till you tell them to stop, and all for free. But they've basically reclaimed the landfill for use as a landfill, and they continue to use that equipment to recycle all the stuff that comes in on the garbage trucks. And they have basically a 95% reduction of what goes into the landfill.
Do you have that telephone number?
I'm sure I do. If I don't, I'll drive up there.
About that.
I mean, I think it would be, I personally think it would be a great place to start looking. I think it would be a good way to start a conversation about that, because it is a problem in the county. I mean, we have used up our landfill space, and we are trucking it to Georgia, and we are spending money to maintain the roads that those trucks are driving on. So perhaps if you could get with staff and perhaps, I don't know.
Well, this isn't a real quick solution, and because, I mean, it takes several years to get it to where it's ready to start grinding up and reducing. But
Here's another.
like after 5 years, you got a new place to put garbage,
And I'm,
and you've got a system to reduce the volume that you put in there.
and it's not cheap, I'm sure, either.
Oh, no.
That equipment doesn't come cheaply, but to see it a success and to know that it can be done, perhaps, can we ask you to do that, to do a little research on that?
You certainly may, just so I can put it out there, we don't, our landfill in the county is a construction landfill. It's not necessarily, I'm sure there's similar scenarios as to that for what people do with full up construction landfills. We ship it off all of our household waste to Georgia, Baxter, Georgia? I think I have Baxter in my head from there, but to Georgia. I believe the county has voted to look at buying a glass grinding machine to grind up our glass waste, because glass is just heavy and it's often hollow weight as well. So perhaps we can reach out to council or to the right committee to ask, how can we give, what can we do from an ordinance level, from an informational level, things of that nature?
We can definitely get equipment to process the glass into a sandblasting media that there is a market for.
And they were also looking at a incinerator type system too, to get rid of the paper and the other stuff. The council was.
Incinerators are kind of out of favor in these environmental times.
Well, these were, the ones they were looking at, they were very, what do you call it?
Environmentally friendly.
That's it.
So we can I can certainly look into that stuff as well. I'm fine to do that, maybe.
Whatever
reach
we
out.
can do to help.
And obviously, they did not, like, force the citizens to recycle it. You did not have to carry it separated
No.
because you were composting everything. That might be, though, another option. I mean, there are places, I'm sure, that are, if glass is usable and marketable, surely there's a way to get people to put them into containers.
If we have to compost on farms, why is the county not composting?
Well, and as the county historian, I will tell you that our landfill did used to be just a general landfill.
Yeah.
It was not a construction only. I think it simply was overloaded.
The one on.
And
That was not very long ago, because I took my garbage to the
Right,
regular landfill. You back up there and whatever it is, you dump it off.
right.
That's currently capped.
A lot of people don't realize there actually was a landfill off of Highway 11, not far from our industrial park there. And it was a, pretty much whatever, it wasn't just a construction, it was a garbage landfill back in the day.
Well, let's find out what it would take.
Our landfill at 5 Points hadn't been closed all that long.
No. About, well, I've forgotten now.
So my next, if I may, our next,
Yes,
so
sir.
this is y'all's list, right? Now, on February 11th, I believe, council's getting together for their retreat, kind of meeting their strategic planning. If these are things that you all have identified as being important based upon our comprehensive plan and y'all's interaction with the public during this, is this perhaps a list you all want to send on to council? To say, hey,
Yes.
you all have a bunch of stuff, any number of things going on. This is one more piece of paper, one more set of information for you all.
Instead of their pet projects, they need to be working on what the county wants worked on.
So
I
we
think
wanna add
definitely
landfill
is
to
that,
it.
our goal was that this list of priorities was to go to them specifically, preferably before or during their retreat, so that they could then look at budget and opportunities to begin to act on them, yes.
So do we need a motion to send it forward?
So if we add recycling to number 13,
Yep.
and then a motion to allow maybe Mrs. McPhail to write a letter on behalf of the planning commission to send along with this to council as soon as possible, that would probably be it.
Can we get a little more explanation on a few of them? Like the RV park ordinance, what's our goal there?
We don't have one.
We had spoken about it, I wanna say probably close to 18 months ago.
Yeah.
And the issue that comes up is that, it's RVs are probably the last real affordable housing, real like super low end. And technically, it's not legal to be permanent housing, but
It's happening.
it's
They're
happening,
doing it.
obviously. And so to look at RVs and keeping people from, because also code enforcement is now out of the planning office. I think having some ordinances or having some ideas of what RV parks minimum standards should be could be helpful, especially to people who have no other option.
Well, let's just keep in mind that a tremendous number of the Duke Power shutdown workers come in their RVs, and they happen to be here more than a couple of weeks. That a lot of RV restrictions are just a couple of weeks.
We have RV parks, the county owns 2 or 3 RV parks, so.
And I think all this was brought up in the conversation, which I think would be a good thing to simply say, let's begin to look at this, let's talk to council, have them, because surely with some feedback from, say, Duke Power, if you've got your outage people, there's some kind of time frame as opposed to, oh, they've been there 3.5 years on that lot and the trash is building up. Do we not need to do something about?
So
That's
some
a
basic ordinances
standard.
that if you have more than 2 or 3 on your property, that you should have some form of trash removal and some form of septic disposal or something like that, is what.
I think we just
that what this
are
is
looking for
saying?
an outline to.
But not limiting, because tiny homes, which an RV has become one of, is a huge trend now. And we don't want to limit somebody, if they want to live in a tiny home and set it up, we don't need to keep them from being able to do that, if that's all that they
That
can.
isn't the idea. I think the idea is just what was stated was,
Multiples.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
okay.
If I may, so there's 2, just for a little FYI here, because I'm full of this knowledge. There's tiny homes aren't really, is a thing everyone kind of knows what it is, but it's not super clearly defined. So RVs that are like park model RVs, that you go up and they look like a cabin in the woods, but it's probably skirted and has wheels under it, it's still an RV. A recreational vehicle is a very specific thing. It's got a panel for an RV. Even if it looks like a tiny home, it's still an RV. And there's also houses that are built on wheels or houses that are just small. Those are also tiny houses. So an RV, any sort of RV park ordinance could address tiny homes, or it would just address official RVs as mandated by HUD, Housing Urban Development. So.
All right.
But we need to craft with it. This is just a list to send to council if y'all wanted to say, hey, these are things that have come up as important. What do y'all think?
well, I think the overarching problem here is affordable housing. I think everybody realizes, and this is one way of addressing it. And I don't know if there are other avenues. The next one, multifamily housing, helps address the affordable housing, because it's, to buy a single house on a lot and whatever gets pretty pricey for somebody that just can't do it. So you get down to multifamily housing.
That's one the council is working on now.
Well, they're at 200 beds or more.
So we were asked to, at the last meeting of the planning commission, the meeting before, to look at a couple different things related to multifamily housing. And we have yet to flesh that out. I'll have a meeting with Mr. Root on early next week, and we'll kind of look more, see what that's about. I'll give you all an update. That was at the 4:30 meeting of council on Tuesday, if y'all want to go back and watch it.
So I think, that basically, we just agreed that these were the things that were what we felt like needed to at least know that we've singled them out of that
$950 million GSOs that were in the comp plan, and want them to focus and come back and say, all right, we would like for y'all to focus on these 3 this year, or these 4 or 5 this year, whatever it takes, because obviously we can't do them all at one time. Am I correct in that? That's what we need to do? Let them know that we've picked these out as the most important. They may be all combined into a single thing. They may all address a single problem. But we're still asking them to, telling them that this is what we think is important, see what you can prioritize yourselves and find budget for, and where you need our suggestions on ordinances, et cetera.
One more, this junkyard ordinance. I've heard rumors that certain members of the council are trying to get away from cars that are not tagged sitting in your yard. This is not to do away with personal property rights, are we? With this junkyard ordinance, that you can't have cars sitting in your yard if you want to have cars sitting in your yard?
I think that really pertains to the actual salvage lots, the junkyards, not. the
Commercial
individual-
license.
Not the
Okay.
individual
Okay.
homes, I mean.
And I think it was actually started with an interest along Highway 11, where there was not 1 or 2, there was multiple piles of not just old cars and things. And what they're saying is, if you have this, then it is a junkyard. Therefore, we have an ordinance that addresses what you should be doing to take care of it, rather than it being something where there's nuisance infestations of rats and snakes and things that are a safety hazard for the neighborhood.
And things draining into the soil that could affect your drinking water, if you use a well.
I think that's where the conversation came up,
So, yeah, and I don't know what anything, as far as, looks like code enforcement is out of the planning office, and any complaints we have about cars, generally speaking, there are people who bought cars when the market was high, and now scrap metal is not quite as useful, and so there's not a huge market for them to go grab 27 cars and bring it to a scrap yard, so now they are full of rats, and they just decay like anything else left outside. So I think that's what has brought it. I'm happy to show you all some photos, or I'm sure you all know what they look like around here. So, yeah, I believe commercial is what you all, and that's up to y'all, really. It really is up to y'all. If this isn't we're not passing an ordinance today, it's just, if that's something that's concerning to you, we can look at it.
Let's look at it.
So, we have a motion.
Do we have a motion that I don't think we have a motion yet to move these to council, to send this to council.
We don't?
No.
All right, I'd like to make a motion that Ms. McPhail gets with Adam and gets a letter drawn up with this information on it and passing it forward on to council, either at their retreat or before their retreat.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Almost there. Is there any old business that we need to discuss or comment?
Plastics man now.
Any new business that needs to be brought up before we leave?
The Renaissance man.
Nope.
Would anybody like to make a motion to
I'll
adjourn?
make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Excellent.
Really, the Renaissance man.
Thank you.
I'm more involved with the